Hello and welcome to episode 61 of the Cutie Art Crusaders for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2013. Welcome back, guys. I hope you enjoyed last week's interview. My name is Rainbow Plasma. I'm the organizer and this week's editor of the podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Burn to One, the special guest coordinator.
I'm FlutterGuy317, and I'm the media manager.
And I am Atmospark. I do the questions, and I do the DeviantArt page.
Yeah.
You do the DeviantArt stuff.
The cuteness.
So, I think this is like the first week where we've actually been super organized.
Yay.
And we're starting to get back into the routine of that. Speaking of stuff on the show, I wanted to talk about something really quick because I did get the bloopers out on time. So we do have our first kind of outtakes video that we put up on our channel. Again, we'll say it at the end, but that's youtube.com/Cutie Art Crusaders. So you've got that outtakes there, and more should be coming out within the next coming weeks. Whether or not it's one more video or two more videos or whatever. But we've still got more, so we'll be posting those, and that'll be a lot of fun. But yay, we got it done. We got it out finally after a year.
A lot of comments have been very positive about it. So
yeah, people seem to like it. I was a little bit like...
Because we're silly.
It's hard sometimes, though, because like we do put on kind of a face for the show. So it's hard sometimes to be, I don't know, like less than PG. Because we are less than PG a lot on the show, as you guys can see on the outtakes. But I don't know, when you put stuff out there, you're putting out a different side of you than what we put out on the podcast. But people seem to like it, so that's all that really matters.
There's people that met us at the convention saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Secretly, I'm a big jerk.
Oh, man.
What do you mean secretly?
Shut your ugly face.
there it is.
There we go. And one more thing we should talk about really quick that Atmospark, you brought up really early was that Specky SY's DeviantArt is down for some reason.
It's sad.
And normally we don't update people in terms of like DeviantArt news stuff, but it's really weird because Specky SY is quite popular and
one of my favorites.
He's not on Tumblr really either. And so it's this mystery disappearance. So hopefully by the time Tuesday comes around, he'll say, "Oh yeah, it was just a a little mistake." Because I don't know, it would be a real shame if he just decided to delete it.
Again, put in no insight and/or research into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just kind of noticed it. So if anyone wants to let us know what's going on with him, we have really no idea, and we'd like to know because he's a really good artist. I know at some point we were planning on having him on the show.
He does really cute stuff too, so it's kind of But we have it's all speculation right now, so we have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. All we know is that the DeviantArt is gone. So hopefully by the time this comes out, it'll be back up. And Specky, if you're listening to this, I mean, put it up somewhere. We love your art.
Yeah.
We like your stuff.
We love you.
So this week we finally got around to the theme, which was books. We're finally starting to get back into, like I was saying, we're starting to get back into a little bit of a groove here. So we've actually got a legitimate theme this week that we've planned for.
We had it planned for 2 weeks ago too, which was big.
Yeah. Exactly.
So books, yay!
Books.
So we'll jump right into our first piece, which is called "Quiet Time," Commish by Graystripe64. This is adorable.
Well, I mean, Graystripe is one of those artists that I've been trying to get on the show for weeks because I found her art a couple months ago, and she's got this really amazing style that I really, really love. She's made one of my favorite art pieces of all time, but the problem is a lot of her pieces aren't necessarily themed or have very big backgrounds. And the thing about the show and trying to fit things into themes is that our themes work for backgrounds and things like that. Unless we're doing like a specific pony episode, our show really only works with big backgrounds or themes or things like that. So when you have a lot of solo pieces like Graystripe has, it's very hard to fit in something. But I'm glad we could figure out something here because Graystripe is really a good artist. And even though we probably won't be featuring much of her on the show, you should definitely go check her out.
She has an interesting style on this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love the pronounced muzzles.
Yeah, she has this really like almost like human way of drawing. It's strange. I don't know how to describe it, but
a really go-to thing that she always uses in all of her facial expressions is that little like crease in between the eye and the nose.
Yeah.
On just about every character, that's there, and depending on the facial expression, it'll get bigger or smaller. But it's just like this little nose crease, little nose wrinkle. like a scrunchy face almost, but
It gives a big it gives depth to the piece for sure. She's also a huge fan. Like she has a lot of she seems like quite the eccentric character, which we love.
Yeah.
So someone reminds me of like a Blitz pony, and she always has these really big upturned smiles, like unrealistically so, and you can see it. Every single pony in this piece has that. Rainbow Dash and Twilight and Applejack all have these really big upturned closed mouth smiles, and she kind of has that in a lot of her pieces too.
it was like our guest last week, Ninic123, was saying is she loves just over the top expressions,
Yeah, yeah.
and there's a lot of that in Gray Stripe's work.
Yeah, Gray Stripe is huge into the expressions that she gives her characters. And seriously, like I wish I could find more pieces to feature, and maybe we'll have her on the show one day.
I mean,
but
just look at Twilight's face.
I know.
yeah,
It's so smug.
She's so into that book.
She is so into that book.
Even Applejack's looking at Twilight like, dang, she's into that book.
I know. I was like trying to follow Applejack's eye line, and it's like she's not reading the book.
I don't know how to read.
I want to know what Daring Do version that is. What Daring Do is that? Is that the next one?
I don't know, but the picture looks like it's upside down. Does the picture not look like it's upside down?
Yeah, a little bit.
Daring Do and Murmur.
Yeah, Daring Do and the Adventurous.
Yeah.
I swear though, I can't be the only one who thinks that picture's upside down.
Yeah, no, I think it is too.
Like when I looked at it, I was like, is she holding the book upside down? But then the spine's okay, and then I don't know. I think she might be reading that book upside down. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's just squiggle bloops of like brushwork if you like make it huge. Just squiggles.
Yeah. There was something that I noticed about Gray Stripe's pieces that is something really important for a lot of artists to understand is that when you take a look at a lot of these close pieces, when you look at them far away, they're always like these super smooth, pieces that look really great and whatever, but if you do it with any of the artists here where you zoom into their pieces, if you look at the individual like brushstrokes of what they're doing, it's very messy and very just blip, blip, blip. But because the person knows what they're doing with the line art and they go over it and they've got these great expressions, you tend not to notice it. And I think one of the easiest things for a new artist to do is to look too closely into those details and go, oh, my lines aren't perfectly smooth or whatever. And that's not what matters.
You get some artists like, God, was it? It's Alexander Art, I believe, who just like, his line work is so ridiculously pristine and perfect down to the finest little detail, but he puts so much work and time into something like that and uses like special programs and brushes too. But something like this, I mean, it looks like it was made in Photoshop without a stabilizer because all the lines are wobbly, like messy, thrown over things. And there's a very like handcrafted sense to it, which actually is like really nice even when you look at it up close because it's more about her handwork and like her line work and line thickness and width and whatnot. And again, it gives it kind of personality, even though it's not like vector perfection.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of Gray Stripe's work is that personality. And the most amazing thing is even in pieces where the expressions aren't too extreme or they're doing something, that's not super happy or whatever, I just get this feeling that this artist is just super happy to just like be alive. And, she was at BronyCon 2013 but like even all of her pieces just have this sense of like, yeah, maybe it's not perfect, but I had such a good time making this and I hope you have a good time watching this. Do you like it? Because we could be friends. And it was just like, I just want to be your friend. I don't know what it is, but I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I mentioned before, I sense emotions a lot in art pieces, and I just get like it's like every single time I look at one of her pieces, it's just like I get smacked in the face with emotions, and it's like, oh,
yeah, it's like
I just want to view more and more.
It's a combination, I think, of the expressions and like just the, for lack of a better word, like lackadaisical brush strokes and stuff. It's just like such a happy piece.
I think lackadaisical is a pretty good word.
Yeah, I would go for that word too. I do like the shading too. A little thing I noticed is she really likes hard shading on things like eyes, ears, arms, and like those hard edged of shadows cast by the characters. But she also uses like textured brushes for some shading. Like if you look at Twilight's hair, it's all textured. And it's the same. And if you look at the shine on the left side of Applejack's face, the little highlight marks are done with like a textured brush. So she's like,
I think what it is she uses hard shading for the shading, and then for the lighting she uses a soft brush.
Yeah, she's like mixing in different feelings of stuff, which is Actually turned out kind of cute.
And one more thing, the one last thing that I wanted to point out, which I point out every single time we have any art piece, look at the background. Is that a super detailed library? Those books are literally blobs. But
Blob
does it
books.
matter? No, because you're not looking at the books.
Well, we are in this episode because it's our theme.
Yeah.
Right, but you know what I mean.
So-
It's not the focus of the piece, you know. It's so important that you figure out the focus, because you'd never look at those books. You look at one pony face, or you look at the other pony face, and there's a third pony face. You know,
I feel like sometimes on the show it's like we've made this point before. Like, look at those books. Those books suck, and that's good. We like sucky books here on
is
Cutie Art
good.
Crusaders.
I like it.
Yeah, no, the background's actually really cute. I like the curly Q things behind them. That's
Yeah,
just me.
it's so simplistic. It reminds me of like old child cartoons or whatever, where the backgrounds were just blobby, and
Yeah.
like a simple.
books are good.
Is that not the most? I just noticed this. Is that not the most comfortable looking couch ever?
Yes.
Like it's perfect for lying down.
Are you talking about the couch or Twilight? Because
I get it. Twilight's a
Well, I
pillow,
wouldn't
it's a
get to be
difference.
on that comfortable couch right now.
now
that's
that Twilight
creepy.
has wings, she's so much more comfy.
Oh, yeah, she has wings.
Twilight corn, yay!
Yeah, wings.
Princess
Yay!
Twilight.
Speaking of wings,
Now that I've come to terms with it over almost a year. Just
Yeah.
kidding, it's
Yeah.
half a year.
yeah, speaking of
Almost
which,
a year.
No, you don't get to transition. Look
Okay.
at their ears, they're fuzzy.
I know.
How dare you stop my transition with fuzzy
You're
ears?
so cute.
I'm done now. That's
Okay.
it. I was waiting to bring it up.
So speaking of wings, nice transition after Burn completely stops me. But this next piece has some beautiful wings, and it's called Bibliophily. Bibliophily.
I read that as Bilbophily first.
Nice.
By
Bibliophily.
Panda.
Oh, goodness.
So yeah, this is a nice
I
piece.
can't see
It's
it.
a very
nice.
nice piece. You can't see any habits.
I see a spike butt. He's hiding down there.
sleeping.
I didn't notice that before.
There's
There
also
he
an
is.
owlicious on a branch, and those wings are fantastic.
Yeah, they are.
I like the
So
wings.
majestic.
So who picked this piece? Who's going to talk about it?
I picked it. I just thought it was pretty.
Yeah.
The first thing that caught me was like the colors. It was very warm, very autumn-esque, because we were looking for an autumn piece, and I was going through my gallery, and I was like, hey, this is kind of like autumn colors, and that's what we're looking for. And then we thought of the theme books, and I was like, oh wait, I know a book theme. Because I remember this one, which is in our library. One of the main things that I wanted to bring up about it, though, was how, again, like we mentioned in the last thing, everything's super, super loose, super sketchy. So, like, big thing is if you look at the trees making up her library and windows in the top, if you actually, like, zoom in and try to look at the detail on them, they're just, like, super sketchy, quick, everywhere, excited lines and making up the trees and, like, the bark of the trees. And then the design in the windows, that, like, Art Nouveau-esque design. Again, it's like kind of just thrown in there, very loose, very sketched, especially like the design around it. And stuff starts to get more tightly detailed as you go down and look, actually, ironically, at the books. The books are very detailed. So is like Twilight's wings and hair.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's taking that focus point and it's figuring out where the eye goes. And so, for example, in this piece, the eye starts on Twilight, maybe her wings, but in general, Twilight.
Her tail and mane, yeah.
That she has kind of this big oval that's kind of hard to describe, but it if the right side of the oval is the tail and the left side is kind of her wing, it creates this oval, and you kind of look within there immediately. And then from there it spreads out, and then naturally I spread out to the books beneath and everything beneath because she's sitting on something. And then the final thing you look at is just kind of the backgrounds with, like you were saying, the trees and the windows. So it kind of follows that scheme where you have, Twilight and then the books and then the thing in terms of detail.
It's kind of funny because the warmer sense to the piece is actually towards the top with the windows, but with Twilight there and like the pink in her hair, it causes you to kind of look lower in the piece and look towards her and like look in the library, or at least I find myself doing that before I start looking up at like the windows and everything else, because there's not a lot of fine details and things to grab my eye up high. It's very just easy to recognize even from like the corner or the tops of my eyes when I'm looking at the rest. There's just not like a lot of there to grab me, but like you end up looking a lot at Twilight and look at her wings and stuff.
Yeah.
I really like the pink that was used because it's more vibrant, I think.
It's a very vivid pink.
Yeah, and it really kind of captures your attention, brings in your focus.
Yeah, and in this case, I mean, when you look at her tail, that's not really like a canon tail. Like, she doesn't have this huge amount of pink in her tail, but, it's a little bit of artistic liberty, and what it does is it catches your eye more.
It's because she's a little bit older in this piece, so she's turning into an Aliquin. So
Well,
pretty soon it's going to be like Luna.
She is the library princess.
Uh,
What does that mean?
like Father
You guys-
Time, but
you guys-
for books.
You guys were all like, "Oh, that makes sense," and I'm like, "What?" Yes, you're right. Libraries equal more pink. You're absolutely that makes sense. What the heck did you mean?
I don't even know. She's just the princess.
Also-
She's just the princess of the library.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because you got Princess of the Day, Princess of the Night, and then like Princess of Knowledge.
she could
Princess of the Day, Princess of the Night, and Princess of
Okay,
you know what a library,
It's
right?
supposed to be her. Nobody reads books anymore.
Books.
Nobody goes to a library.
Cadence is the princess of love, so maybe Twilight is the knowledge princess. You never know.
That'd be so good. You're the Princess of Books. You like reading books.
Like it was literally like Celestia was just sitting in Twilight's library, and she was like, "You're the princess of," and she's like looking around, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Books."
Just
Look
like
at
you're
how many books you have. You think normal ponies could accumulate the amount of books that you have? No.
No other pony lives in a library.
And then Twilight's like, "This is my destiny."
my destiny.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Also, Owlicious is looking cute.
Yes.
Well, he's an owl. Owls are adorbs.
All right. One last thing about this piece that I really like is the whole framing of it, because you get this like nice arch of the trees, basically framing Twilight, and the whole
Yes.
focal point. It's really nice. I like it.
Hey, good point. Yeah, that's awesome.
1 point to Flutter Guy.
Yay!
Yeah, one point to Team Flutter Guy.
You get 1 horse point.
Also, if you like the little designs in the windows and stuff, I
do.
mentioned the word before, but it's very Art Nouveau-esque.
Yeah.
You can look up Art Nouveau if you want. But
No, you should tell us all
the
about it.
things, like in the designs above the books in the window.
Is it
That's
anything like haute couture?
No.
No.
Close.
Then I am not interested.
You're all about the haute couture.
Ugh.
I don't even know what that means. I have no idea what haute couture is.
They said it on ponies once. It's gotta
Yeah,
mean
I know.
something.
Yeah.
That was the reference.
I know.
I saw it in
Get
a
it.
window once of a store, and I went, "Yay, ponies!" I still have no idea what that is. It just looks like clothes.
And on that note, let's move on to our next piece, which is called Friendly Fleas and Fireflies by My Magic Dream.
That's a hard sentence to say.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until you said it out loud. But friendly fleas and fireflies.
It's a
is
very
kind of a
tongue twister. Yeah.
I see. It even twisted my tongue. I said tongue twister.
Hey, it's Japanese.
Hey, look! It's even looser brushstrokes.
Yes.
Lucier.
Lucier.
I can't speak. I have a speech impediment.
So pretty.
This
By the way,
is amazing.
have we featured a piece by My Magic Dream before?
I don't.
I
think
believe we have.
Well, I think we have, yeah.
I believe we have.
I don't
or
recognize
at least we
them.
familiar.
mentioned.
Why don't you talk about it, and I will go look.
Well, I've been being bugged by some fans to
Fireflies
bring
bug?
up the artist My Magic Dream and also Holivy, I believe.
Mhm.
And I don't remember if we've featured them on the show. I thought we did.
I think we
think we
featured.
featured
I'm not
I'm-
quite sure.
Yeah, we
I'm
featured both of them.
95% sure we've had My Magic Dream because I recognize the name.
And the style.
think we-
But I
recognize
could
the
be
style
wrong.
too.
But
There's
both-
one piece in particular by My Magic Dream that I remember quite vividly. It's a Rainbow Dash piece that is kind of
Oh,
where
in
Rainbow
the
Dash's hair is
clouds, right?
paint. No, this one was the she. Oh yes. This is what it is. Absolutely, you're
This
right.
was a totally
This
our
is the
cloud
piece.
episode, wasn't it?
This is the piece I loved. That was by My Magic Dream. Thank you for reminding me. That was it.
Aw, yeah.
Mm.
But anyway,
Yes,
Sir.
that piece.
My Magic Dream and both My Magic Dream and Holivy both have very similar art styles where they're very like loosely painted. They're very carefree and fun and have lots of colors, and it's much more about the brushes they use rather than how accurate it is and how the colors make up the picture rather than like how accurate the colors are. So like again, if you look at this paint or digital painting, it's a painting. With like pretty brushstrokes and stuff to make up the image, and like the bushes as they go back, and the pretty butterfly thingies with the crazy line brushes around them. And it's much more about that rather than making it look super show accurate pony.
And My Magic Dream has a really interesting artistic journey, I find, if you go back through his or her. I don't know who. His. So if you go back through his kind of gallery, like even if you just look at the pony folder, you can really see how much he's improved over the last little bit, and the different styles he employs, and it's really cool to kind of take that time sometimes and look through an artist's gallery. Can I just like not speak ever again?
That'd be
Artist's Goulery.
I'm gonna try to finish this sentence, and then I'm gonna go never speak again. It's interesting to look through an artist's gallery and see just a journey of when they started and they were okay or not that good, and then they got up to a point where they're really good or they have their own unique style that's developed over time, and it's nice to see that style developed. All right, bye.
You made it.
An artistic journey.
Artistic.
Astute observation. But no, My Magic Dream, again, all of his work is like super cute and super colorful and super fun. He has a really, really pretty style, and it's kind of funny to watch My Magic Dream go back and forth with Blitz Pony, or was. There was a point on Facebook where they were kind of like talking back and forth, because I follow Blitz Pony on Facebook, so he was making pieces and Blitz was like, oh my god, she's so pretty. And then he was talking to Blitz Pony like, oh my god, your work's so pretty. And they like made each other art, and it was cute.
Are you jealous, Ben?
Anyway, I am super chilly. But
Very jealous.
what is it? Oh, I was gonna point out, if you look at Twilight's again super stylized. Like if you look at her nose and cheek and ear and how the hair's made and the eyes, it's all depicted a very specific way that is super key to My Magic Dream style, and super like, what do you want to call that? It is his, like, it is straight up. There's no one else who really has that feeling of pointiness, or however you want to put it.
Yeah, that is one shark cheek.
One shark.
I give up. I'm done.
Where's the shark? I can't see it.
Done.
I want to see the shark.
I'm just gonna stop. No, I'm done.
What? I can't even remember the word I was looking for. But...
Pointy something?
No.
Shark-like?
Shark?
It was some kind of fancy pants word that I couldn't dig up for super true to My Magic Dream style. That's his style.
I have no idea where you're going with
Doesn't
that. Matter. But yeah, once again, it's like this kind of style just makes you feel happy. It's like it feels like the artist was really happy while painting it. I don't know.
Yeah, all of his work does that.
Also, I love how he depicts magic with the really, really vivid outlines.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Twilight's horn in the book, it's like
I like
really
that.
bright.
I like that.
Well, he does it with all the light points. Like, is there's 2, 3, 4, 5 yellow fireflies or butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're fireflies, but they look like butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
And also the
same
pink ones
thing.
in the background. They all have that really hard light around them to indicate that they're really bright.
It's like a neon light, and then it has the glow
Yeah.
coming out
Whereas
from
the
it.
shading isn't that neon like that. It's still hard shading, but it's not doesn't have that outline on it. So you can tell So you can tell pretty much straight away which are the really bright points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, if you look at it kind of closely, you can actually tell that they're really bright because they cast their yellowness onto other things. So they're casting it onto Twilight, kind of like creating that little green of the little. You can see the bright highlights on the left side of her, and kind of on the right side by her hair. And also, when I look at it, I feel like the bright light from those glowy butterfly/firefly things are also casting on the bushes, and that's what those yellow highlights on the tips of the bushes are around her, is that yellow light from the fireflies.
That's interesting. It's interesting. She uses some really unique colors as well, which is really cool. Especially in the very front bush. They're
colors that you don't see very often. They look like they're clashing, but I think they work. I think they work together really well. It's like a dull purple, very dull purple mixed in with some brighter oranges, and then there's like a kind of like a reddy purple. It's really interesting colors.
Mm-hmm.
As far as colors go, I think My Magic Dream's really awesome at using them.
Yeah.
And not just in an abstract sense, kind of like this, where the colors aren't realistic, but if you look at a lot of his pieces too, where he does a kind of realistic background. For example, that clouds piece that we had before, all of his colors are of a realistic sense. He has many of these like daytime pieces where the colors are just spectacular, but they are a little bit more what we would consider day-to-day realistic,
Well, there's
As much as you could in a medium of cartoon ponies.
yeah, of course.
Should go without saying.
Yeah.
Canon to the pony universe. I almost said party universe there, and that would be a good place to be.
Aha! I've passed on the inability to talk to you. Good.
How do I give it back? I don't want
it. No tags back.
Hmm. Hey, Bernd, I can't tell. This piece, to me, it seems like very warm colored. Is that correct? Or
It's both.
okay.
So the bottom part with the red and the bushes, it's warm, and like the violets and the what is it? The magic and the little fireflies in the background are warm, and you could even say the yellow and the fireflies, the bright ones, is warm. But things like Twilight, obviously, and then the deeper purples and like reds, the like muddier reds in the background are a lot more cool, and the greens and the tips of the bushes are also considered cool colors.
I think that the really interesting thing is that when you look at certain colors, out of all of the different colors, when you transition around the entire color wheel, when you hit purple, purple's got a very unique property in that, and a little bit in green too, but mostly purple, where it can be warm and cool, and the transition between it is not very black and white. It's a very smooth transition, and you can get some really warm purples and some really cool purples, and a lot of different in-betweens. And it's really interesting. The other one that I mentioned was green, and you can see a lot of green underneath the yellow in the piece, which is an interesting touch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this is entirely warm colors, but
That's the awesome thing about color theory in general, is that there is no true this can be warm and this can be cool, because colors can change feeling or temperature depending on the colors around them. So something can seem more cool if it has warmer colors around it. So you can have a distinct shade of like purple, like you said, is a very good one, or violet. But if you have a cool color next to it, it'll seem much warmer. And if you have a warm color next to it, it'll seem much cooler. It's that thing of, if you have a little bit more extreme color or a color more on a warmer end, if you put another more neutral color next to it, that color will seem more on the opposite extreme, if that makes sense. So this piece is, again, both warm to cool, where it's more warmer on the outside and seems cooler on the inside. But the reason why the inside of the piece seems so cool looking or cool colored is because of the warmer colors on the outside, if that makes sense.
Well, there's also an interesting thing that happens sometimes when you get a piece that's very heavily overlaid with colored light. For example, in a sunset. So if you have a pony such as, let's say, Rainbow Dash, because she has very cool colored coat. She has the blue. I doubt anyone would look at that and go, yeah, that's a warm color. But so if you put her in that environment, and then you cast a very strong, warm light over her, the entire piece can still feel warm. In comparison, she might be cool compared to her surroundings, but she still feels warm because of the light being cast over her. So it's a really interesting thing. Like you said, nothing can really ever be said as truly cool or warm, because someone can be blue but still have that, that warm feeling to them.
Sure. Blues are fun too, because blue, when you think blue, is like naturally a cool color, but there are certain kinds of blues, like really rich turquoises and like phthalo blues and stuff, that can actually feel super warm.
Strangely enough, I think like a deep navy sometimes can look warm, especially in like a night piece.
Yeah. If you have like overlaid with maybe some pinks or something, it's more borderline like a dark blue purple kind of. I think that kind of borders on warm.
It's funny because back when we were doing our color episode and stuff, I would tell people to go, like, if you're interested, go look up, like, what's his name, artist, Homage to the Squares. But I remember the name of the book, Homage to the Squares. And actually, when I took you guys to the Portland Art Museum, one of the pages from his, or a couple pages from his book, Homage to the Squares, were actually there on display. But the point I was trying to make is actually, like, in those books and stuff, where he has a specific color, and he'll put a cool color around it, and it'll seem warmer, and then vice versa. And he talks a lot about just the properties of color and temperature of color in, like, his little book and stuff, Homage to the Square. It's cool stuff. And I think what I just said right there might be relevant later.
Foreshadowing.
We're an art show, not a book show. Except for today.
Except for today.
Wait, we aren't a book show? I have been misled. Damn.
Well, yeah.
By books, I mean writing. I can't. I'm channeling Rainbow Plasma at the moment.
Yes, I passed it off. It's like hiccups.
Did you say Rainbow Purple?
Yawning.
Listen, Rainbow Rasma.
So our final piece for today is something called Study Time by Purple Lemons, which I know Bernd is very excited because
Yay,
he
Purple
is in
Lemons.
love with Purple Lemons, and they're getting married this fall. She's not true.
But what about your Alaskan babies?
We're meant to be. From Alaska.
Purple Lemons. Just before we talk about his art piece, something to bring up is the fact that Purple Lemons has this tendency to close off a bunch of his deviations. So he's kind of like Disney. So get this art while you can, because it might go into the vault.
Purple Lemons now.
Yeah.
Your art's so pretty. Stop it.
Anyways.
So, for those of you who don't remember, we met Purple Lemons at BronyCon.
Yes.
And I actually bought a piece from him. And it was really cool.
He made me a birthday gift.
Yay!
It's really pretty.
Yeah. So, in this piece, Twilight is about, 5 lengths of mane deep in books.
So many books.
No idea what she's looking up or researching.
Why is she reading on top of a pile of books anyway? Why doesn't she just get the one that she wants, make a stack of books next to her, and then read it at a desk?
Because that would be inefficient. This way she can just read it, toss it, keep reading. I don't know.
Exactly.
But she has
book piles.
She has the magics, though.
It's because she wanted to look out the window, but she also wanted to read.
You can't read if you're looking out a window.
I feel like she was just up in the top of her library looking for books.
Is it because she has the light coming through the window?
Me?
That could be it. It could be that she wants to
She
be,
wanted to save on pony electricity.
or just the size of her candle, because it's clearly out.
Yeah.
What's pony electricity?
So, a couple things. Since we're digging into the story of this piece, it's fun because it's subjective, because we can be like, well, why she had a huge pile of books? It's just a cute scene, and she has this giant book reading chair thing.
I thought
It's
we
clearly not
just
a book
discovered
ladder.
why she's reading on a big pile of books.
I mean, like, you can't, what is it? That little stool thing. It's like, that's clearly not used for finding books on the top shelf because you
Yeah.
can't climb up to the top of it. So, like, how the heck did she get up there in the first place? Magic,
Maybe it's a
clearly.
magic stool.
It also doesn't...
Exactly. It just goes
Yeah.
up and down.
It looks like it's not meant for ponies, too.
Magic stool.
Yeah.
But whatever little
Magic stool
backstory you
bus.
want to put to this, it's still a cute scene and it's still executed well.
Yeah.
I agree.
I also agree.
Yeah. Well, you were just talking about the stuff within the picture. I'm going to talk about the picture itself. Vertical composition. As an editor, it annoys me, but I feel like this is, and with a Bibliophily before, also had vertical composition, but in both those pieces, it really helps out with the entire piece because this piece is a lot about the height of the piece. She's sitting up on this giant stool with this big pile of unstable books. Her library is a very vertical thing, so it really helps the piece that it is a vertical composition, because if this kept going until it was whatever 16 by 9, and you saw the rest of the library, she'd not only be a very small part of the piece, but it wouldn't be quite as much as the focus, and the progression of your eyes would be broken. That line that you draw with your eyes as you're looking over the piece would be broken. So it's really important that no matter how much you complain about it, it's a good idea to have
complain
these
about it.
vertical compositions sometimes. If you're going to have... The only thing that I complain about is if you're going to have a horizontal composition, you might as well make it 16 by 9. Like, I've seen some pieces that are just like random. For example, our first piece, Quiet Time by Graystripe, is just random numbers.
Well, art isn't always an aspect ratio thing.
Art
Like,
isn't always
the
16
only
by
reason
9.
aspect ratio exists is because, one, it's easy to view, and it's not even that it's easy to view. It was because film dictated that, and how it was easy to make film, and then they just met halfway in the middle between photography and then video film, and we're just like 16 by 9, that seems good.
Yeah.
And then we stuck with it. There was no exact number or science behind it. It wasn't that it was the most easily viewed thing ever. If you want to say the most easily viewed ratio is the golden ratio, if you want to get super exact, but that's not 16 by 9.
Right.
So it's like art isn't always like a horizontal medium, so something like this is vertical. So the only reason we enjoy viewing art at a horizontal medium in 16 by 9 is because we're all huge digital heads. We love digital art. We are an internet-based fandom. We are an internet-based art fandom.
The portal in which we view these things is all
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
And it's
and like I said, like I was trying to say, as long as if you have a vertical composition, as much as it's annoying to edit with, it serves a certain purpose because it does have reasons behind it, and people shouldn't go, oh yeah, no, I'll just make it 16 by 9 for everything I do, because vertical compositions and other things like that are very important. There was always those examples where they're like, it was like 1920 by 1072.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
I wanted to play the devil's advocate of like, even though the portal in which we view this art is 16 by 9 and is more pleasing in a horizontal ratio, I mean, art always isn't like conventional of how it should or shouldn't be because of the difficulties it gives us or whatever, because we're a podcast.
Another reason why people have
and wallpapers.
Different aspect ratios is for print. If you're going to print something, it's not going to be 16 by 9. Print isn't 16 by 9.
yeah, that's true.
And
You
especially
can make it 16
framing.
by 9.
Like, there's all these pretty prints I have, but they don't fit into conventional frames. It's like, blah.
I know, like so many prints from.
That's why I made like a
Brony.
collage on my wall. That I just made them all fit together. Like
That's why I use
collage.
float frames.
That's why when I got my piece that Andrew Libman signed, I made sure it was an A4 size because I got a frame for it. Well, it's not actually A4, it's just weird American size, but it fits in an A4 frame.
It's in inches.
So
isn't
speaking of this piece that's on the screen, I think something really interesting about this piece is the lighting, because we've mentioned before that you should never be afraid to put your characters in darkness. You should never be afraid, because everybody wants the lighting to be front and center. They want them to see the characters. Look at how pretty my art is.
Spotlight.
But not a lot of people are afraid to put things in the darkness. And I think what this piece does is it has a really interesting middle ground in that some of the stuff is in darkness. For example, Purple Lemon said, I'm not afraid to put the bookcases in darkness. I'm not afraid to put that side of the stack of books in darkness, a little bit of Twilight. But half of the piece isn't. So, it's not always black and white in that terms. It's not always a spotlight right in front of you or completely shadowed behind. There is these middle grounds.
That darkness that he's put in there, it's what makes the piece, because like I mentioned just before, when we were trying to figure out why she's sitting on top of a stack of books, if it was all light in the background, you wouldn't be able to tell that she's sitting up there to get the light from the window. So that darkness is part of the piece.
Well, that's what we think she's doing, but she clearly is sitting in the light.
Yeah.
But anyway, like you were saying, he did use a more adventurous and unconventional lighting in the piece, but he did do it well, and he did do it intelligently. So like the bookcase below the window, there's no light being cast on that. It's very dark. So we, again, look at it and be like, oh, so that must be the only light source coming out of this place is from that specific window, because there's not really a lot of light sources being cast on other things. There kind of is on the little statue down below. You can kind of see how like one side's illuminated. But I mean, it's just little things that your eye picks up going like, where's the light in this room? Well, it's clearly not on the other side of the books or the shelf. And hence why that big, strong shadow is being cast by her book tower. But he used it well, and he used it intelligently and lighted everything like correctly into where we look at it and go like, oh, like that makes sense in my mind of how there's this strong light coming through the window. And also of using things intelligently, I wanted to mention the perspective. It's that we're looking down on it, and we're looking down on everything. Like, sure, there might be a little things flawed like here and there, because I mean it's a painting, but as far as like when we look at it, we can easily tell like, oh yes, we are above Twilight, looking down on things. We can see the top of the bookshelves, the top of books, the top of the little table thing that's always in the center of her library. all of those things, we look at it and we go like, oh yeah, she's up high and we're looking down. And even like the books, they're bigger as they're like more up top in the perspective, and then they get smaller as they go down. Things like that, all done well.
Yeah, I was gonna say the perspective is really well done in the fact that, well, that coupled with the whole vertical composition of the piece kind of makes the book tower stand out, just because you're looking down on it. I guess it would be more pronounced if you were looking up at it, but then Twilight would be kind of smaller and not really. Yeah.
Sure wouldn't be the focus if you're looking up at it.
Yeah. But
All right.
yeah.
Well, that's all of our art for this episode. There's a couple more pieces that I think
But they're
people should
cute.
go check out from our favorites folder.
They're cute.
They're very, very cute. And you should definitely go check it out on our favorites folder, because they will be there and they're super adorable. And I know you wanted to keep them in, Ted, but we have questions and it's 45 minutes in.
Okay.
Sorry.
And we're doing questions this week because I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah. So go check if you want to see more art and books. There's some cute stuff in our favorites folder, so go check it out.
Yeah.
But that one we can't put in the favorites folder because it's a PNG.
All right, look, this is it. You see this piece? Look, it's a book for it. Red
Book
Lobster
for it.
standing by. Come in, book for it over. Dish is booked for it. There you go. You happy? Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, moving on.
It's adorbs. Sorry.
She's a lobster.
Okay, so questions.
Butts.
Yay, organization.
Yay.
I'm gonna just say first of all that we are allowed to say book series because I'm assuming that a lot of books that I read are in series.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll go first. My favorite book series of all time was the Warriors series. It's a series about cats, but I think it's written really well. You either like it or you don't, and there's a pretty big following on DeviantArt, which is cool. But yeah, I've always liked the Warriors books.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really cool series. It's really long too. There's tons of books.
Well, I think my favorite book would probably be 1984 by George Orwell.
That's good.
But I also enjoy like Wheel of Time by, I think it's Robert Jordan. But that's another series, and it's
You
got
read a lot, don't you?
lot of books. No, no, I
No?
don't. I really
Your
want to get back into them because I
Sister
stopped.
reads a lot.
Yeah, my sister reads a lot.
There you go.
Yeah, I want to get back into them though because.
Yeah, it wasn't creepy at all, Burn. Go ahead.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Do you read?
I
Do you
I
even...
don't inherently read, but I did read a little when I was younger. I started to read when I was younger because I was forced to because school and stuff, and then I found this random book that actually caught my interest, and I read it, but I don't remember what it was. It had like this weird creature thing. But
Well then.
and there's another series of books that I read after that I actually like was interested enough to like pick up the other versions, so I read like a 3-book series to it. And I have no clue what it's called, but it was about these adventures of bats, like fruit bats.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I know what it is. That's Silverwing.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. So there was like the fruit bat thingy, and
Silverwing,
it was,
Firewing, and Sunwing are the three books.
yeah, I read those, and that was like the only series ever in my history of life that I ever read.
Wait, Silverwing, Sunwing, and then Firewing. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And it was like adventures of fruit bat, and he like
Yes.
met other bats and like mean
No,
bats.
it was a
and,
really
like,
good series. It was a really good
bats.
series. Yeah.
It was cute.
Yeah.
Is that
and they,
where
like,
your whole...
Testing and like laboratory is cool.
Yeah, that was one of the series. That was one of the series. I had a lot of books about animals when I was a kid, like animals having adventures. As a
Now
kid.
that I think about it, like maybe that's why I like bat ponies so much.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
I was going to ask, is that where your bat obsession came from? And...
I don't know. Maybe.
No.
Batman sucks.
No, it's not bad.
Batman's funny because his voice. But I don't know a lot of comic book stuff.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know comic book Batman. I just know guttural voice Batman.
All I do is change my voice slightly. Nobody knows who I am.
No.
Miss Bark, how about you? You've been delaying all this time.
I've been trying to think of a favorite. I've read lots of books and lots of book series. If I go by just the book that I've read the most amount of times, it's probably the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series.
Yes.
Which is a trilogy in 4 parts.
Oh yeah, I would say that
Isn't
you're.
it?
Yeah, you would be. Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
haven't read it, but my friend really, really loves it.
It's the book is amazing. It's like I said, it's 4-part series. For those who don't actually know,
Right.
it's not just the one book. And I've read that more times than I can count. I'm looking over my bookshelf right now. What's over there? I've got the Harry Potter series, which I've read a few times. One that you probably don't know, which is Tomorrow When the War Began. It's a whole series as well. I think that's 9 books in the main series, and there's 3 in the follow-up series. That's by an Australian author. It's one of those. It's kind of like I can't remember what the name is. What was that movie with Wolverines?
What?
Like X-Men?
No, Wolverines. not Wolverine. Wolverines. It's like it's a bunch of kids that happen to be stuck out in the bush when their country gets invaded, which happens to be Australia because it was written by an Australian.
It was
have no
like
idea what you're talking about.
Red Dawn or something
Red
like
Dawn.
that.
That's
Maybe.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Interesting.
sort of like that where the kids become gorillas and it's aimed at sort of I was going to say preteens, but like young adults, young readers.
Yeah.
It's
younger
it's
readers.
a great series. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's the same with my books. The Warriors books were aimed for younger people, but and I would be remiss if I spent all day yesterday talking about the Guardians of Ga'Hoole and didn't ever mention it on the show. So yeah, there you go, Silver. There's your one reference for this week. I also I had a lot of animal books when I was a kid. Like I started with like Animorphs back in the day, and then I was like
remember
Warriors,
Animorphs.
Guardians of Ga'Hoole, which Guardians of Ga'Hoole was owls, Warriors was cats, and then Silverwing was bats. So I don't know. I'm not really an animal person, but I guess I like reading adventures
I
about
love
animals.
Animorphs.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
You're secretly a furry.
Wow.
Where's the secret?
All right then. All right then.
Well then.
Remember, Plasma loves the fursuits.
Move on to the next question.
Okay, we have another question. That's right. Have you read any books about art that you would recommend? Again, by Linda Dash.
You go.
Burn.
Nope, you go. You go first.
Okay. Well, the book I would recommend was one that I don't think I've still got it. I did have one. It was 1001 Ways to Draw a Cartoon Face.
Eh.
Well, how to
Cute.
draw. It's
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
was
if you're-
everything you wanted to know about cartooning but were afraid to ask or something like that. That's me.
Interesting.
Also, I've got a
cool.
couple of calligraphy books because I found my calligraphy stuff the other day.
Very cool.
Okay.
Forget
Now-
handwriting.
If I may just for 1 second here, we've known you for a while. And we've gotten used to your accent, but you gotta stop mumbling because the new people are coming to the
just woke
show.
up. Like I literally woke up, came over
But
to
you
my
have an
computer
Australian
and,
accent, and you also mumble.
well,
a little. So it's like okay.
you have a Canadian accent, so what?
It's true.
It's true.
It's really hard to understand you when you like stop boot.
Boot and A.
Have you not noticed how loudly I talk? So it makes up for the accent.
So what I
So
find
he's
is go
saying
from being
loudly
really,
speak
yeah,
your
so you're
accent.
saying loudly speak.
yeah, it gives more emphasis and it gives
This
better
tangent
syllables.
is awful.
What?
Hey, if we're on random tangents, what do you guys think about Ben Affleck?
Oh my God,
Speaking of
Ben Affleck.
speaking of bats,
Speaking
do you
of
think
bats,
Robin's gonna be Matt Damon?
I hope so.
That would be the cutest couple ever. Best ship, right?
Matt Damon.
Anyway, so
Better
art
anyway.
books. I mentioned earlier, what is it? Homage to the Squares by artists that I could probably Google, but I'll let you do it. And in his book, he just like talks about color theory and like puts colors next to colors, and it's kind of interesting because it's just about color properties. But I guess it's kind of nerdy, but when I was taking art history, one of the books that we were required to pick up was Gardner's Art Through the Ages, and now I have like a digital copy. So like as far as art books go, sometimes I just go to go into Pals and like go in the art book section and just like read something random because I'm curious about Impressionism or whatever. But I would actually, if you want to learn some like serious stuff about art, I would actually look into picking up like a used copy of a textbook of like Gardner's Art Through the Ages for like, I think you can get a good deal for like $60 or something, or you can buy like the digital copy, or there's ways of getting a digital copy. But I mean, I've learned a lot from just like when I have some random tangent on the show of something I don't know or understand, I'll like straight up just go to my digital copy and be like Control F find Impressionism or whatever I'm looking for, or whatever, like a random artist or thing. And I mean, it'll be there and I'll be able to like read up on it, and I'll find ways to like learn more about it or whatever. And it's a better way than like just going to Wikipedia. Like Wikipedia is quick, but it doesn't have as much stuff as like maybe like a book like that might have. But I mean, it's a textbook. It's not really like a little cheesy art book. And again, like I don't read, and that's really been the only book I've had exposure to is like Gardner's Art Through the Ages.
I think it's important to gain a lot of perspective with these different things. That's why we encourage people to try out all different aspects of art, even if you're not the best of it. Maybe you're really good at cartoons, but you can try out different things, see what you like and see what you don't like. And even if you aren't good at it, then you'll find perspective, and you might find different things that will help you out with your own art. And by the same token, you should go out and read a bunch of different things from, I think, a bunch of different books, and just try and gain some, form your own opinion of art through those kind of things. If you're really like honestly, truly interested in art, that you want to make it a career or whatever, then going out and reading books about it should not be a big deal. So, just go out and read books about it.
Again, it's not so much as reading books about art, like that can definitely help because there's tons of knowledge there. But something actually in a video by I made a mention of this earlier. It was Feng Zhu's like art tutorial, like free art tutorials for concept art, because it was a concept art school. In one of his episodes, he talks about like a visual library and how to build that. And a visual library is when you like look into your own mind and you have these visuals that you can bring into your own art. And he's talking about it for purposes of concept art and like bringing up concepts and stuff like that. But again, it's the same point that we're bringing up here, is that when you read books and you read about these crazy universes, it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Lord of the Rings, Silver Wing of like Adventures of Bats or whatever, you get these images like filled in your head of like these really described scenes, and that helps you like build your own things that you can put into art or whatever. I mean, it helps you as an artist, and it helps you create these little worlds that you can like paint down. It really does.
Yeah. Cool. Well, there's your book recommendations for this week. Study, because the test's on Thursday.
Go visit your local library.
Yay!
Before it gets closed. Yay!
Aw.
All right.
So, yeah.
I'm glad we have someone in charge of questions.
Yay. Yeah, I don't have any books to recommend, sorry, on art.
Really? No books?
I mean, unless you want to go read the Pantone Chip
No.
catalog.
Enough of this.
Go read the IKEA catalogue. That's a book I would recommend. Okay. I have another question here. It's a bit of a silly one because we like to have fun here. If
Yeah, it is.
Rainbow Plasma was magically turned into a female, would any of the Cutie Art Crusaders ask her out?
Who says we haven't already?
This is first of all, yes, that, and second of all, this is like the most awkward question to sit through the answers of,
Sent in by
Just for the record.
That's one I did, by the way.
because you guys are all gonna either come up with really joke answers, or this is gonna be really awkward. So I look forward to it.
So let's. Are we trying to make this as awkward as possible
Yes.
for him? I mean.
Oh no! Wait a second. This is immediately backfiring on me. All right, boys. If I was turned into a girl, IRL, come on, who would ask me on a date?
I mean. We
Well, I wouldn't ask you, but we'd go on a date.
Yeah. We've already.
Okay, well that's not true, but okay, yeah, sure. Thanks for the input.
We've already done dinner and a movie.
That's true.
So.
That's true.
Actually, yeah, with both you and Burned. So.
I
I think
wasn't
we're already
invited.
dating, aren't we? I think we're already dating.
I wasn't invited
Good
to this
sign up.
party.
I'm sorry.
But you have female OCs.
It is true.
We could make our OC state.
So I'm going to take that as a no on all fronts.
Well, it's like I just don't think we'd make a good couple. I just feel like
we've had this discussion before. We would not make a good couple at all.
I feel like if you did get turned into a girl, like with your demeanor and like your leadership qualities of and you turn that into like a female like race like aspect, it just wouldn't be good.
I think I'd be hot. But I might be a little bit biased.
Well, if you look anything like your OC, then I'm
That
moving
hurts
on.
I don't think anyone realized how utterly insulting that one sentence was.
Yeah, you look like a horse.
Ow.
If you looked anything like a horse, you'd be right.
So, Crow ZX, the answer was no on all fronts. I'm going to go eat a bucket of ice cream.
It's okay. Calm down, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh God!
That was way too funny.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop plugs unless anybody else has anything to say.
To humor you, I would ask you out.
Oh God. But is that like a pity date?
Yeah.
My
love you,
face
Randall
right
Plasma.
now is so disappointed in every single one of you.
Well, we're running overtime, so I'm gonna start plugs.
Yay!
I'm sorry I don't date horses.
I'm going to sit here and be sad.
Love you.
Oh.
Okay, so we have a DeviantArt page, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. Go there for anything that we haven't featured on today's episode that we wanted to, like some of the other book stuff that we mentioned. Also, our own individual pages are on there as well, so if you want to find us individually, you can from there. You can send us anything you want to on the DeviantArt page. I monitor it, so I'll be the one responding to it mostly. An email account as well, which is cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. If you have any questions you want to send in about the future episodes, about us individually, if you want to make Rainbow Plasma embarrassed or angry, something like that, just like we did today, it's great fun. Send it all into the...
I don't know what you're talking about!
As he's like
Ice
knee
cream,
deep in
ice
cookie
cream.
dough ice cream.
Knee deep? What am I eating with my feet?
No, you face first down, so like your whole body.
Oh,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
why nobody will date me, because I eat food with my feet. Right, that's it.
All right.
Okay.
Maybe it's just
Mom-
that you have like spoons for feet. 'Cause
This is weird.
Rainbow spoon
Nobody
foot
draw
hands.
this.
Okay.
spoon feet.
Spoon feet. All right. So if you're sending something in the email, please put what you're sending us in the subject line, just so Gmail filters it out for us and organizes it nice and easily. Yeah, that's it for me. Social media, please.
We have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Cutie Crusaders.
The virus is
I
spreading.
know, I can't speak anymore. You can go there, give us a like. We'll post on the day of our stream, when it is, what it is, etc., etc. We have a Twitter, which is @CutieArtCrusade. Up to the minute information is there, along with like when our stream is and reminders and stuff.
Gosh, that was quick.
Do you want to talk about the YouTube, Plasma?
Fine. But I'm still grumpy.
So we have a YouTube page.
Get off of my turf, you insulting little... So we have a YouTube page. That's youtube.com/CutieArtCrusaders. As I was mentioning, we have outtakes up. Woo! Someday, someone else besides me is going to do something for that channel, I swear.
Eat shit.
I could film my everyday life and put it up.
Oh, dear God, no.
I was at a horse farm the other day.
Just keep a lookout for new stuff. We're going to be posting new stuff eventually, I assume, guys. Guys?
It'll be up there
We're going to be posting
eventually.
more stuff. And at the very least, we're going to have more outtakes up either this week or the next week or whatevs. So yeah, look forward to those in the future. And I guess that's everything. We need something for Burn to say in the plugs more often. So I have
So
to transition out of myself.
we don't have our theme picked out right now, but it'll be on the screen because we're gonna
Now.
find
Yeah,
out
it's
what
on
it
the screen
is
now. There, now.
Yeah.
I will-
Make
I
it
will
all
put it on the
flashy and
screen right
rainbow
now.
colored.
Yay!
And like spin around and do like pirouettes and
or
stuff.
we might have a guest. I guess maybe.
Right. But
It might
no,
be a
no,
guess.
okay, enough of this. Okay, look, here's the deal, and everyone's going to listen to this for the future of everything, and this is the reason why we have to stop mentioning this. We're going to plan themes, but if suddenly we get a guest, then that will just supersede the theme, and the theme will go to next week. We don't need to mention it every single week that, we might get a guest, therefore. It's just whenever we have our next theme, it will be that theme. Okay?
Yep.
That might be this week. That might be next week. Whatever. That's what it means. We're all good? We're all good with that? We don't have to mention that just in case. Anyway, yeah, okay. Well, good. Cool. Thanks for watching this episode.
Yay!
I'm extremely depressed. And I'm gonna go eat some ice cream. So, yeah, that's fun.
Someone draw him eating more ice cream.
Thank you guys for watching, whether or not you're on YouTube or the live stream. We love you all the same, much more than any of the other people on this show, apparently.
It's true.
My name is Rainbow Plasma. My name is Rainbow Plasma.
I'm Brando 1.
I'm Flutter Guy 317.
And I'm Atmos Spark.
Whoa.
Wow.
That was a weird accent. Jeez. And we'll see you guys next week.
Why Twilight?
Bye.
I'm the princess of the night.